Okay, so now what we've got is we've shown that we can't actually render very well the picture. It won't show up a lighted hallway as we don't have lights in there. So what we need to do is add in lights. So to be able to do that, we need to be able to see our grid that we're going to put lights in. So it's important then to note that, because of course normally we'd be able to see that, we haven't actually got the clearance to see that at this point. We're going to actually change the view range of our ceiling plan in here in the properties menu. Be able to change all that up. Change all the floor 1 ceiling plan here. I want to change down in here to view range on the properties menu. Go all the way down to here. I don't know why it wasn't letting me go down before, but these arrows are quite helpful when you, for whatever reason, can't manipulate that. So we'll go into down until it says view range under extents, and we can actually change that in there. I'm going to do, just to make it simple for what we're doing, select unlimited for that one, unlimited for the top, unlimited for the view depth level, and I'll switch this down to 7 feet because that's how high up our ceilings are. We'll hit apply, and that now shows our grid. So the next thing we want to do is actually add in our electrical. So we'll go up into the tabs, selectors, go up into systems tab. Systems tab that we want to put in is lighting fixtures. It says no electrical fixtures in this family have been loaded in. Would you like to load one in now? Well, absolutely, we would want to load one in now. So what we're going to do is go down here, get these Trofer light systems. We've got a grid that is a 2x4. So we'll grab this Trofer light systems 2x4, open that up, and that will open up this Trofer light systems. We can place those in to our grids. Now we can see where that's going to be. And as you have them in there, we can just click them into the grid where we'd like them to be. We move them around as an object later on if we'd like to. Certainly can place those in, anywhere as we see fit. It's going to make a bit of a difference. Obviously, if you have, in reality, you'll see the amount of light that's coming off of this, and you'd like to spread that around in a way that actually makes sense. But for now, we'll just put these ones in, and we can sort of see where we're at with that. We've got some lights in there now. Feel free to put more lights in as you want. We're going to escape out of this command and go into our, I believe it was 3D view 4 that showed us that hallway. We've got some, you can see the lights are in there now. So now that we've got lights in, Revit, as I said before, will be able to render in here with this. Then it'll be able to give us the ability to show us what this thing will look like with those lights in, and how that will affect. Oops. This actually shows us all the lights that are in there. What we want is sun and artificial lighting, and we've got that set in because we've had that in last time. If you haven't got it done now, this is where you set it up as under lighting. You can see the options of sun only, exterior, and exterior artificial only. Interior, we'll do sun and artificial. And just to give you a little bit of, we've got all kinds of quality settings that we could have. I'm certainly not going to go into the top end of things. We'll keep it at medium just to give you a little bit of a taste of what goes on here. And we'll hit, a render to, get this thing going. And it should show us an image now that you can actually see a little bit in the hallway. Just thinking about it. Oh, look, we've got lights we can actually see in our hallway because we've got lights, and that's the thing, is now you can actually see what's going on with your building and see if the lights were adequate for the space that you've put them in. It is actually quite important, especially if a person's trying to do some of these more modern green structures like a net zero, or this type of thing where you're trying to use the external light as much as possible for your house or your building. Then you'd like to see how the light would affect your structure. And actually, that being said, this actually can be quite important to have these types of views for that bit. I don't know. It's becoming more and more important to be able to see how your structure will take on the natural light around it. You can actually set up where your light is coming from, and I believe in this particular case, you could actually set where your building is at and what direction, of course, your building's, being seen from, or whatever, that the sun is coming in at it and affecting it. There's all kinds of parameters in there that you can change to make it the most realistic possible view for the time of the year or whatever it is that you're trying to do with this. But it does become extremely important, as I said, if you're trying to do some sort of architectural design where we're accommodating for natural light, and where we actually have to put in some artificial lighting in there, and what type of artificial lighting, and where and how far apart, this kind of thing that we need to do to make the structure actually look the right way and actually function the right way. So this is all very important. Anyways, we'll on to the next topic here. We certainly don't need to be dwelling on how to put in those lights. We'll maybe look into, because we've got, this is the 2x4 section, we could maybe look into putting some of the ones in the gypsum section of our structure as well. Sure, we'll save our project. It's good to save the projects from time to time. We don't really want to put these lights in here. We could load in another family of lights. We've got a bunch of recessed lights that we could put in if we'd like to. Gives us a ton of options. You can actually make up your own lights. We can get into how to make families up a little bit later. For right now, we're not going to, get too carried away with all of that. We'll do just a recessed can lighting. Seems not too bad. We'll put that in. Elevation level, of course, because we've got a 7-foot level ceiling. We don't want to put it at 8-foot level, or we would have the lights in there. It's just setting you up with an 8-foot level automatic setting in there. But we know that our ceilings are at 8-foot level, so what we want to do is throw them in at, our ceilings are at a 7-foot level, so we want to actually throw in our lights at a 7-foot level. So we could throw those in, put a few of them in there, sort of give you a bit of an idea. You obviously can move them around to where it makes more sense at any point later. So the thing about gypsum is you can actually do quite a bit. You're not set with a grid. You can put them literally anywhere you would like to put them in. We'll just throw a bunch of them in there so you can see just some crazy spots that they might be. This is definitely not how you'd put in your lights. I'm just throwing them in there just to show you that you could just throw them wherever you'd like them to be. We'll escape out of that and take a look into, I'm not sure if it was view 2 that had that particular side. No, wasn't. These are both in the lobby. It is view 3. There we are. There's our recessed lighting. So once again, we could do a rendering with that view. Take a look at that. We've got, once again, we've got to set up whether we want internal or external, and interior, sun and artificial is what we want to have in there. We'll throw it on a medium and we'll hit render, and we'll see where our lights, how our lights all look in there. It should take a little while. This will take a little bit longer for me than what it should for you, because I'm also running my video editing software in the background. But here we go. It's giving us a little bit of a look as to what that should look like. And it does actually give us a little bit of light, but we are on an external wall too, so it probably would have had a little bit of light in there as it was, because we are just right outside. But you can see the lights are starting to show up, and we'll start making a little bit of a difference. If we clicked off that we were going to use the sun's like the external lighting, then we would just have the internal lights that it would look at, and that would give us a little bit different view, of course. Stop that. We'll maybe check that out, see what see in here we can have the sun setting, and we could change all that whole bit around to what we like to have in there. There's a lot of things you can mess around with on this. We're gonna hit it so that it's artificial only, no sun, and take a look here at what that leads us to be. So right now it's giving us that there's light outside by the sun, and it should just load it up as though it's just lights inside. There shouldn't be any. There we are. That's just lights coming from inside. So if there was no sun outside, this is what the lights look like inside the building as they show up. We'll get more of them in there, and that's how it would affect your lighting. So we clearly would need to have our lights a little bit closer together in different locations, or we're not going to see very much with those particular lights. You can sort of see how that's working. And as I said, that's very important. You can see how important it is to do rendering and check to see what it is that's gone on. Or you might have insufficient lighting, or maybe far too sufficient lighting. You might end up overlighting your location as well, depending on what you're trying to go for. But right now we can clearly see that is not a very well lit room at all. But we know that there's, in the daytime it looks good, but at nighttime not so good. Anyways, that's how to do the lighting in the ceiling plans. We'll stop this rendering for now. Yes, we do want to stop the operation. We'll get out of that, and we can see that, even by looking at it, there's clearly not. This is a long ways between these lights. Really, you can take a look at it right now. If we actually took a little bit of a measurement, you can actually see how far away that is. 8 foot is quite a long distance away. 8 foot 6 inches away from each other. That is a really long distance away for your lighting to be for that type of a building. But we definitely could put those lights a lot closer together, and it would make that just a lot happier. But anyways, that's how we do that. On to the next video.